Valshir is sitting. Valshir is the leader of the Cairns First Party, and I'd like to pose the first of those three questions to her, allowing her 3 minutes. Define ecological sustainability and discuss your vision for achieving it within your district in the next 20 years.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you, CAFNEC. I've actually been a member of CAFNEC since I first came to Cairns in the 1980s, and it was great to attend the 20th anniversary a few years ago. Sustainability is really about development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the future. And I think that's a standard definition that's accepted worldwide. If we are going, whatever we do, whatever activities we do now, we have to be thinking about what impact that's going to have on our children and on our grandchildren, and how we're going to look after the resources that we've been lucky enough to be given. Selwyn mentioned that we do live in between two World Heritage areas, and so we do have that amazing reef and the rainforest as well. And they're just so important for us in so many ways. And we really need to be doing everything we can to protect and enhance them. I suppose in terms of my vision is that we actually acknowledge that we actually have a systemic approach, and that we acknowledge that everything is interrelated. So whether we're making decisions about agriculture or industry, or what we're doing, where we're getting our water from, or how we're going to dispose of our waste, or how we're going to move people around this city. Are we going to just keep on building more roads and extra lanes in the highway, or do we look at alternative transport? And how do we look at sort of sustainable design? You know, those things that are actually going to really assist us to be able to maintain our resources. So I really think that when on council, we really need to be looking at all of those and how they all, I guess, sort of fit in together. Because we do know that Cairns is growing, and it's growing quite rapidly. And so that's a huge challenge for us. And so all of that we do and all the decisions we make, we need to be able to take into account that people do come up to this region and want to come and live here. So I think my vision would be that what we would want to do is to reduce the impact on ecological systems. And so that means considering every time we make a decision about where a subdivision is going to happen or where developments are going to occur, that we really look at the long-term impacts. Because I think in the last 8 years or so, we actually have not taken into account the impact of some of the decisions that have been made. This council has not planned for climate change, and my vision is that we will plan for climate change. We do know that we're going to have global warming and that there will be increased turbulent events, and that this is going to have an impact on our environment. And we do know that we're going to have to consider whether we look after our agricultural industry and maintain it. As the south dries up and becomes warmer, agriculture will move north into this rain-fed area. So if we go and trash all our agricultural lands with subdivisions, that's not going to be thinking about the future at all. So I think we need to really be looking at our footprint. How are we treading on this beautiful area? Because we do have to tread lightly, or otherwise we will destroy the very thing that brings the tourists here, that enables us to grow our food, that enables us to have sort of well-being and feel sort of good about where we are. So it's really about, in some ways, that triple bottom line. We've got to look after the reef and the rainforest. We have to diversify our economy. We have to look at value adding in the agricultural areas. And we've really got to look after people's well-being and how they feel about living in the place. And I actually sort of added a quadruple bottom line there. And we also need to look at what's happening with our spirit and with our culture as well. Thank you.
We'll move on to the second of the core questions, a 2-minute answer maximum. To achieve this vision, what elements would you initiate during the next term of local government if elected?
One of the things I think we need to do is to have much better land use planning than we've had to date. And secondly, we all we really need to, as I said, to think about that footprint and try and have an aim that we will have a neutral impact on our environment. So with land use planning, as I mentioned before, what we really need to do is just to look at what the needs are and to look at how we're engaging with the community with what we're doing. And we've had a couple of examples where things just haven't worked particularly well. I've just come from the Parks Retirement Village and talking to the old people there. And then we've got a situation, they said, oh, we're being blamed for the flooding here. And yes, the Parks Retirement Village is actually sitting on what was a water retention area. It's been gradually filled up over the past 5 years, and when the last lot of fill went in, a few months later, the first lot of severe flooding occurred. The council said it's 1 in 15 years. It's now turned into 1 in 1 year. I suspect it's going to be 2 in 1 year, and there's going to be ongoing problems there because we didn't plan well. At the time. When it was a pony club, it was fine. Now that it's now become a sort of a development, we've got lots of problems with drainage. So we really need to be looking at where, as I said, maintaining our flood retention basins and the natural parts of the environment that help us to be able to cope with this rain and the deluges and things that we get. And in terms of having in 30 seconds, a neutral impact, that's really about exploring all of the ways that we can reduce our energy use, that we can look at new developments with solar heating, we can mandate for water tanks so that and look at demand management, lots of different ways there so that we're actually sort of reducing the use of our water and minimising our impact on the environment.
Councillor Terry James is here representing the Unity team today. I do appreciate that he is standing as a councillor candidate, but he is here today representing the Mayor when...